Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing for the March 31st Al-Anon readings, Encouraged to Change, and a little time for myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer and 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I'll take a minute to look this over. The question is, what can I do to keep my focus on this present moment only? And the passage begins with an Al-Anon member who is about to leave their alcoholic because they were going on a trip. And the person was worried about the alcoholic loved one's financial collapse. So they read their daily reader and realized that they had to let go and let God, that they weren't living in the present moment. They wrote down their fear and put it in a little box that they found and let it go. And a solution came to them later that day, and they believe their higher power helped them resolve the issue and move on. Today's reminder: focus on the present, not on the future. And the quote is from Al-Anon, Hope for Children of Alcoholics. We only spoil today when we worry about the future or have regrets about the past. So it's interesting how this person talks about writing down their fear and putting it into a little box. I've heard that called a God box at Al-Anon meetings, that people write down things that are on their mind, and then they put them in their God box and they're able to let go and let God. So how do I keep my focus on this present moment only? Is I try not to think about the future and I try not to think about the past. I have been thinking about the past today, but kind of in like a happy reminiscing kind of way, because my cousin sent me a text about a fond memory she had of a time that we shared together. And so I was thinking about that. And then my son called to tell me that the house that he grew up in, the one that I sold about a year and a half ago, is going up for sale again. So I was thinking about that was in the past too. And I also found myself being concerned about the people who bought the house for me, hoping that they're okay. And I'm hoping that they like the house because I had so many happy, wonderful years there. But maybe the owner got transferred to a different job or something like that. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know. And there's nothing I can do about it. And the future too. I do think about the future, but when I realize that I'm focusing on the future too much, then I try to ground myself where I am right now and don't let thoughts of the future get to me. But it's a constant it's a constant practice. My mind goes to the future, it goes to the past, it goes all over the place. So it's just a constant practice that I just gently bring myself back to the present. The other thing I've been doing lately is I've been watching reruns of shows that I enjoyed in the 90s, like that 70s show. I've been watching Seinfeld. Oh, The Golden Girls. I don't even think that's from the 90s. I think that's from the 80s. So, of course, when I watch those shows, I think about how life was back then. But also, it's so comforting, like, to watch the shows that I get such a kick out of. It's like happy memories. So, I don't know. I guess I don't have to overanalyze it as long as I'm enjoying it and not going to extremes, right? All right, I'm going to take a minute and look this over. This is funny. So this passage was actually read at a recent Al-Anon meeting that I attended because the topic was humor. And that's what this is about. This passage is about allowing ourselves to have fun and to laugh. So the passage begins with the statement that many of us grow up for the first time in Al-Anon. We learn to face reality and take responsibility for our actions. We deal with our feelings and we communicate honestly. We become responsible. So even though recovery is a serious business, we need to have fun. We need to take a trip, maybe fly a kite, attend a concert, make noise, race down the street, blow bubbles, laugh. Taking a break may help more than continuing to struggle. And a good laugh may be the best tool to help us let go. And it says we come back refreshed, and I do find that. Today's reminder, our sense of humor helps us detach, and we need to try to avoid taking ourselves too seriously. And the quote is from Francois Rabelais. And it says, a little bit of joy is greater than a large amount of grief. Paraphrasing, of course. I was just thinking something and then I forgot what I was thinking. Oh, shoot. A good sense of humor helps us detach. Oh, the thing about returning refreshed. So I remember when I was working, I would figuratively be banging my head against the wall by the end of the day because I just couldn't get done what I wanted to get done before I left for the day. I kept making mistakes, silly mistakes, and I would get frustrated. And I just wanted to have it off my plate so I could start the day fresh the next morning. And inevitably, I would just have to stop because I couldn't finish it. And I was getting really, really frustrated. This happened all the time, like on a regular basis, because I was just exhausted by the end of the day. So what I found is that when I left it and went home, did whatever I did that afternoon and evening, slept, and came back the next morning, I could take care of what was making me crazy the day before when I was I almost said hungry, when I was exhausted. I could finish it in 5 or 10 minutes, and it was so easy. And that happened to me so many times. It was such an amazing lesson for me to stop when it's time to stop. When it's time for me to stop and I'm getting those messages, when I keep messing up, making silly mistakes, when I can't think straight because I'm so tired, the absolute best thing I can do is stop and come back to it later, the next day, when I'm refreshed. And sometimes it doesn't have to be the next day. It could be in a few hours but what those work examples, it was always the next day, and it wasn't a problem at all. It was so easy. It used to blow my mind every single time it happened. But that's what this reminds me of, and how fun it is sometimes to just laugh because I know I'm taking myself too seriously, and there's no reason to do that. It feels good to just kind of giggle at myself. Not to mention that I'm hilarious. Like, I can do some really, really silly, silly, like ridiculous things. And when I realize that I'm doing them, because I don't mean to do them on purpose, of course, I laugh at myself. It's just the way it is. We'll close out with the serenity prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.